Happening, man? What's happening? Welcome back to another episode of the Tarantino Show, man. No, man, I always thought, I ain't gonna say thought, man. I always really believe that, you know, teachers, educators, and every form of fashion, man, was always very key, man, very important to, what I'm saying, day-to-day life and children's growth, as far as the ability to teach them things and educate them in certain ways or whatever the case may be. So, you know, I was on my way this morning, man. On my way dropping my daughter off at school, as I normally do on Tuesday, man. So, on the way to dropping off to school, we always listen to the radio, see what's going on out there, man, what they talking about, whatever the case may be, man, start the morning out right. So this particular morning, we cut the radio on and I didn't really catch the full segment. I guess I came in on the mid end, tail end or whatever, but basically what they were talking about, man, I guess a lot of teachers, are wanting and pushing to go to 4-day school. And, I looked it up because, this was really like the first, what I'm saying, I've heard rumors or whatever, but this was really like the first time I ever just really like heard it in a full conversation perspective, you know what I'm saying? So I had looked into it or whatever, and I seen where you have like, a few like rural and like very, very small like counties and spots and stuff like that throughout the state of Georgia that has already adopted, what I'm saying, this learning style or whatever the case may be. But, to put it in full spectrum of just mandating it like statewide, across the board for all schools, all grade level, man, I think it's a horrible idea. But what struck me on the conversation was, what I'm saying, during the radio segment, some teachers and stuff was calling in with it. What I'm saying, current educators, past educators, what I'm saying, and a lot of the current educators was calling in and voicing their opinion, giving their opinion on the matter. And what kind of bothered me a little bit about what damn near all of them was saying, they wasn't pushing for 4-day school week and no benefit of the children. It was all, yeah, we want to do the 4-day work. We, give us an extra day off. We be tired and, we need a mental break and all this and whoop, whoop, all this other bullshit. So the part about that bothered me, man, and my daughter is in high school now. So, what I'm saying, over the course of her school career, I've had the opportunity to come across some very great educators, and I've had the opportunity to come across some very shitty educators. But I've always been like super involved in my daughter's education. So I've always been able to be that voice, for her to pretty much let it be known, man. Look, you're gonna do your job, you're gonna teach my kid, you're gonna make sure she get what she needs to know, point blank period, and we ain't gonna have no problems in between. So I said that to say that a lot of those good teachers, man, it wasn't a job for them. It was I love what I do. I love the fact that I am an educator. I love the fact that I am able to educate these kids, what I'm saying, teach them things that they need to know. And what I'm saying, I just love what I do. I don't do it for the job. I do it because this is a passion. This is something that I just truly love what I do. And to hear those current teachers say that they want to push for the 4-day work week, more so just for the breaks or the time off. It's like, so pretty much teaching has slowly turned into y'all just being some clock. And don't get me wrong, you still got some great teachers, some great educators out there, man, on many levels, college, high school, middle school, elementary, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, you still got some great educators out there. But it also opened that spotlight and that door that you also got a lot of shitty educators out there, man, and people that are no longer doing it for the benefit of giving back and pouring into this kid. Is more so just, I need a job. This is a skill that I have. this is the direction I'm gonna go to and pursuing it. And it's fucked up because when you really look at the statistics and the breakdown of these kids these days, a lot of these kids are slow as hell, man. And not even saying it like being funny with the shit. Like a lot of these kids are really slow, man. You have a lot of kids these days, man, and I'm mainly speaking in the state of Georgia. You have a lot of kids that are not even reading on their grade level. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that's been going on. And this is no fault to the teachers at all. So I don't want it to be taken in that perspective. But you have a lot of kids that's not even reading on their grade level. I looked some shit up because, like I say, the topic kind of struck a nerve in me that morning. So I looked some shit up. So I looked some shit up, and it says in Georgia in 2025, the literacy scores for high school seniors dropped to their lowest point in over 20 years, with 32% of 12th graders reading below basic level and 41% of high school students tested at a proficient level, meaning you just kind of you're good at it, but you're not exceeding, but you can hold your own. But that 32% is pretty much y'all just ain't getting it, man. So to have that big of a gap, and even still, and something that plays into that, Governor Kemp just signed the Georgia literacy bill back into play for I think it's kindergarten through third grade or something like that to what I'm saying reignite that literacy portion of reading and understanding and comprehending what you are reading, because that seems to be the bigger problem, man. And to say we want to do a 4 day school week, well, I guess work week as well, teachers are employees, to do a 4 day school week, 4 day work week, I just think that's piss poor, man. I think that's piss poor, and that is going to take so much away from the learning ability of these children, man. The ones that do want to learn, that do want to be there, man, because for one, a lot of the curriculum is accelerated. So what once used to take maybe half a semester to learn, they're cramming that into 2 weeks of that semester. So you're telling me you're already kind of shortening the time that you are, able to give a lesson, and then on top of that, you want to take away a whole day in its entirety. Like, no, man. Especially with the statistics being the way that they is, as far as these kids' literacy and reading and comprehending and stuff like that. Like, man, they don't even teach cursive writing no more, man. That's not even an elective. That's not even something in high school, period. Even on a elementary school level. When I was in elementary school, I learned how to write in cursive in elementary school. I learned how to write in cursive in elementary school, and from that point, I wrote in cursive damn near my entire school career now. And I had to purchase a cursive handwriting book and pretty much teach my daughter how to write in cursive, man, on my own time. You know what I'm saying? And I don't understand how that was ever taken away, because if you go out here and buy a house, you have to sign an official document. That official document has to be signed in a handwritten cursive signature. A signature is a cursive handwritten gesture of your name. If you go out here and buy a car, if you go out here and you start a business, if you go out here and you apply for a loan, any of those things, whether it's digital, whether it's a piece of paper, any of those situations all require documents that require a handwritten signature. So why in the hell are we not continuing to teach these kids how to write in cursive? So we're already shifting the type of curriculum that we teaching. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't hitting home no more, man. You know what I'm saying? And math is not really the math that I truly believe kids should be getting, because a lot of this shit, man, it plays more into, what do you really want to do in life? You know what I'm saying? What do you really want to do in life? If you say, well, hey, I want to be an engineer, and, I want to be a doctor or whatever the case may be, then yeah, X minus Y equals 12, it may be very critical in your life, man. But if you're an individual and you just say, "Hey, man, I want to be a entrepreneur, man. I want to go out here and own me a Fortune 500 company, or man, I want to, go be a bus driver, or whatever it is outside of any technical field." You know what I'm saying? That stuff really don't apply to you like that, man. But reading and comprehending what you are reading, that applies to everything, man. And that is the portion of the literacy in these kids that has been affected in a tremendous way. I don't care if you can freaking solve the hardest mathematical problem within 60 seconds. But if you can't read that mathematical problem, that is a problem, man. That is a problem. And that is the problem that is going on right now in these school systems, man, with this literacy issue, and these kids not being able to read on their correct grade level. I seen a video, online video. Some lady, don't know the lady, she was talking about, what I'm saying, school and, kids, education, literacy, and things like that. And she showed a video, clip of a video. And basically what it was like a person was going around this school, I'm assuming high school, going around this school and giving these different, selected kids a piece of paper with simple note on the paper, asking them to read. It was something, I don't remember the text, to the fullest degree, but it was something of the nature, some silhouette, something. Out of about 5, 6 kids that read this paper, none of those kids could pronounce the word silhouette, not one. And these are all high school students. And her point was to the same thing of kind of what I'm getting into as far as reading and comprehension and the literacy of these kids not being able to do that. So it's like, and you got to think, man, we are in a true technical world at this point in time, man. This is really a time of technology at its peak. So if you can't read and comprehend something as simple as that note, there's no way in the world and you're going to be able to read and comprehend things that are going to be mandatory that applies to your day-to-day life. So to say that we want to shift from a 5 to a 4 day school week, man, no, hell no. That makes no sense, man. I think these kids will be losing tremendously, man, to make a move like that, man. I mean, just being real, I think these kids are going to lose tremendously doing something like that, making a move like that, because as I just said, there's already a problem there. So to spend less time addressing that problem isn't going to fix it. It's only going to make it worse. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think that is a horrible idea, man. I think that is a horrible idea. And even though they're trying to push the whole, at home learning and things like that, but you also got to understand, going to school and being around other kids, it plays more into not just getting you education and making good grades, but also helping that child develop social skills. Learning to be around other people, learning how to interact with other people, learning how to communicate with other people in a real form, not through a computer screen or through a Skype call. Like, no, face to face. You in my class, I tell a joke, you laugh, and I throw a piece of paper, you dodge, duck. Real interactions with other kids, man. You know what I'm saying? And that is a very vital and important of that school and whole educational realm and deal, because being able to be social, man, that's very important because if you can't be around other individuals, you fucked up. Now don't get me wrong. Me personally, I'm a loner. I love being by myself, man. You get what I'm saying? Like I kick it, big shit, man. You feel me? Solo. Like I enjoy being by myself, going places by myself. I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? But I still know how to be social in those type of settings and environments. Me being a loner is a preference. You know what I'm saying? But I still know how to be social and interact with other people in those type of settings, in those type of environments, man. So, that is something that you are taught really by default by being in that school environment and being around other kids, man, and people of your age, man. So it's like once again to shorten that interaction, I don't see a benefit in that for the kids, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really think, like, if that is something that ever gets adopted, just, statewide or whatever like that, I think we're going to see a major downfall in graduation rates. I think we're going to see a major upkick in kids being kept back. You know what I'm saying? I think we're going to see a major, just overall lack in the educational field, period. Because, like I said, man, if these kids are already struggling to comprehend and understand what they're reading, they're already struggling to read, they're already struggling with math to a certain degree in certain areas to take time away from that study, that schooling, I don't see a benefit in it for the kids, man. And it's already bad enough that you have a lot of these clock punchers as teachers these days. So your kids are already getting shorted and cheated, as it may be. For the ones that are still real deal out there, man, still doing it for the love and for the greater good of the youth and the children, man. Most, shouts out to you. But there's a lot of them in the mix as well. They're just doing this shit for the collection of the paycheck, man. They can give a damn whether your child get it or not. My daughter was in middle school, man, and like I said, I've always been super active, super present when it came to her education and being on top of that, man. So I sat down, like I said, with a lot of teachers over the course of the years, and I literally had a teacher tell me, man, face to face. He said, Dad, I'm gonna tell you something. He said, man, a lot of these parents send these kids to school. We send letters home. They don't respond back to them. The child may be failing the class. We don't see no communication or nothing from the parent to address the child failing in the class. So we just give up on them. We just give up on them. And, if you show up, you show up. If you don't, you don't. If you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, oh well. And on one side, I said, damn, that's a fucked up ass mindset to have, man, especially as a teacher. But on the other side, it's like, damn, so if the parent doesn't show any true involvement, is that just the mindset of just teachers worldwide? You know what I'm saying? So it's like we all have to do our part. You know what I'm saying? As parents, it's important we do our part. As teachers, as educators, it's important that they do their part and we just come together and make that mean, man, to make sure that these kids are getting what they need to get, man. And, we're holding that balance on both sides at home and in the schoolhouse, man, to, for the greater good of these children, man, and, the direction that they're trying to go in life. But like I said, that whole 4 day school week, man, it just really threw me for a loop, man. So, it was just something that I definitely wanted to, touch bases on and really just give my 2 cents on the situation, man, and really what I thought and, my perspective of the situation. Because, I mean, like I said, with these kids, it always been said kids are the future, which, it's a true statement. They are the next generation, when one generation grow old, hell, another one takes that spot. So it's like, is that what you want leading the future? You know what I'm saying? Is that what you want leading the face of the new generation? You know what I'm saying? A bunch of dumbass kids, man. Is that what you really want, man? Is that what we as a people want, man? A bunch of dumbass, uneducated ass, flashy kids running around here, man. So, I definitely think it's something to look into, to something to think about. And, as I said, as far as the educators go, man, for the ones that's out there that's really doing it, man, for the love of the kids and the importance of just being an educator and giving back and pouring into these kids, man. Much love and shouts out to you. For the clock punchers out there, man, they're just doing it for the paycheck, man. McDonald's and these warehouse jobs, man, they are always hiring. Find yourself a more suitable place of work, man, than to be wasting our time as parents, our money as taxpayers, out here bullshitting with our children, man. Definitely get out the way, man. You know, 5 days, I think that is the standard, man, and I think we need to keep it as the standard as always. Being one thing that we need to do is incorporate true learning that applies to the modern day skill sets of what will be required of these kids, man, once they graduate from high school. Because the curriculum does change over time and it does change with the time, but it doesn't always correlate with the time. And what I mean by that is like right now, this is one of the most biggest digital ages there has ever been, and it's continuing to grow. You hear AI just about everywhere you go with just about everything it is you do, down to your damn cell phone. So, why isn't there any type of schooling or any type of courses in these schools, in high school, things like that to support that? Why is that only a college course? That is something that you should be learning the ground basis of on that high school level because that's what every other subject in high school teaches you. That's why you're able to take like some college prep courses in high school, meaning these are courses on a lower level that you will take on a more complex level once you do get to college. So why don't we have things like that in play to where we are setting these kids up for the direction and the dynamic of the way that the world is going? So if we're going to change the structure of the education, change it to where the shit is beneficial, man, to the people that's learning. And also brief these teachers, man. Brief these teachers and make sure that they are actually doing what they're supposed to do. That they are actually teaching in the manner and in the way that they are supposed to teach, man. And they are not just shitting these kids, man. You know what I'm saying? They blame the whole cell phone deal. Oh, the kid be too much on the cell phone in the classroom. So Kemp just signed a bill, high schools or whatever, they finna ban the cell phones. Okay, you ban the cell phones, but at the same time, once again, we're in the digital age. So majority of all of your learning is on the digital platform. You're not walking around with 4 or 5 books anymore for each class. You're walking around with 4 or 5 apps or some shit on your iPad for each class. So okay, we're gonna get away from you having a mobile device. But hell, you still got that iPad. You still got the tablet, which support the same functions that cell phone do. But okay, whatever the case may be, you know. But with this whole 4 day school week and no, I don't think that's the answer. I don't think that's the fix. Not at all. Especially when it comes to something as important as being a teacher. You know what I'm saying? As something as big as being the determining factor of if a kid can go out here and be able to read and apply that to everyday life, or if they can't. You know what I'm saying? As teachers, as educators, like y'all legit somewhat, I'm not gonna say fully, but y'all somewhat hold that power, man, over the outcome of that situation for these kids, man, for these babies out there, man. So, take that into consideration, man. Think about that, man. When y'all talking about y'all tired and y'all need an extra day off, man, go take your ass to McDonald's or something, man. We need diehard, real deal teachers out here, man. And on the parent side, make your goddamn kids behave, man. Don't be a headache for these folks, man. To make these folks want to give up on your kids and not teach your kids, man. Get their ass together, man. Get them together at home, man. So they don't go to school and get to cutting up and tripping out, man, and disrupting the class and giving these folks a hard time, man. Don't make it hard on them to not want to teach your kids, man. You know, teaching, educating, man, is something that happens every single day, regardless of whatever age you is, man. You know, we learn different shit every day we wake up and go out them doors, man. Whether it's willingly or whether it's just, you just picking up some random knowledge by default, man. So, man, to go from a 5 day school week to a 4 day school week, like I say, my opinion, my vote, I definitely vote against it. If it's ever something that comes about that swings this direction this way, man, I definitely don't see a benefit to it at all, man. I think we need to keep it the way that it is. And like I said, the courses that are being offered, we need to offer more courses that are, what I'm saying, more related and involved to what's going on with the world, what's going on in the world, and the direction that these kids are going in. And, you know, as far as curriculum goes, we got sports and things like that, beta clubs and all that shit like that. So we need to maybe look into amping up more things like that in the schools, man. More extracurricular, man, that are, more beneficial to, you know, being a veterinarian, being a nurse, or being a doctor, or things like that on that high school level to start making things more interesting and more engaging for these kids, man. And not trying to take away a day from these kids, man, and their educational time, man. As I said, man, I just like to give my little 2 cents on certain things I be coming across, man. If you knew about it, cool. If you didn't, man, I just gave you a little spiel on what's really going on out here, man. As always, man, y'all stay tuned, man. Keep tapping into the Tarantino Show.